no particular reason. I was just wondering why, because I know you guys are going to do pay-as-you-go payments at some point. I heard a talk about that. I don't know if that's true, but we're not a subscription, but you just
Got it. So yeah, we have a
buy
couple of updates there
something,
for payments.
pay as you
I
go.
think, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, what'd you say? Can you repeat
No,
that?
I lost you there for a second. Yeah, go ahead. You were saying something?
Oh, no, you said something about the pay as you go.
Yeah, we have a lot of updates coming out for payments. I mean, I don't have the exact details to reveal right now, but we are coming up with tiered pricing and pay as you go as well, and one-time based payments as well. So there are a couple of things on the plate here. We just don't have the specifics that we can share with you right now.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, so I think then let's actually go through the chat. I think the first one is by Quentin. Outbound message flag showing it was sent for sure from a user. Yeah, I think this one, Quentin, I will definitely check with Swapnil here. I think we have a thread already, and I believe this was picked up, but let me, get you an update on that one.
Yeah, I can follow up with the team on that thread.
Thanks, Anand. Voice integration API. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, just basically making it so that we can have our own voice channel the same way we could have an SMS or email or anything like that. Just a way to actually plug the voice data, like get the voice data out of the CRM into our app, and then have voice data from our app into the CRM that the user can pick up on.
So you're trying to integrate a channel in this case?
Yeah, if that's the way that we would do it, if we want to designate it as a channel where all of the voice data goes through that, it's just having some way to export voice data in real time, the same way we can with SMS data, and then pass it back in during a live call.
Yeah, I think the way that will work is basically you handle that channel and then you hit an API to get the recording after the voice completes. Then you hit an API to create that message in. And during that time, your dialer, and you can custom JS it in. So it won't be basically passing through our live streaming APIs. That would be, not a good experience in terms of latency.
Mm-hmm. So your solution is for us to create a custom type channel, and then, but how can we assign calls to go to that channel? Is like, will it just
that will have to, that will have to be there. So it won't be a custom type channel. It will be still a voice type channel where the calls, can be, that will be marked as default, just the same way we do for SMS or email. When they click, then, we make an API call on your side, and then you can choose to start the dialer or take them to another page or something like that.
Okay, but right now
that is something that we'll have to, as of today, that is not possible.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was just clarifying. So voice is not a supported channel today, but so the most logical way to accomplish this, you're saying, is to add on the same API a voice type that you can then take over basically, and then anytime they initiate a call or receive a call, it'll send to our app.
Yeah. And I mean, today also you can like kind of do it, because what you can do is you can use custom JS, put a button in that opens a dialer on your side, have the API keys from their account stored in there. And then after the call completes, then just hit our voice API. That API we're making live. I believe someone else also is asking for that API to add in the call recordings after the call comes. So the call completes, I think, on your side, and you guys handle all of that. After it completes, you add the voice recording in on our side as a message, just as a note of this thing happened.
Okay. All right, cool.
Great. The next one I think is by Sergio. Is there a plan for bulk export of transactions API anytime soon? What a use case for financial reporting? Got it. Sergio, so
Or
this
really any other bulk export as well. But right now, the use case that I'm being hunted for is that one.
Okay. So when you say bulk export transactions API, You mean you want all of that data via the API, or are you expecting a file format that dumps all of this data for you?
Well, I am anticipating that the amount of transactions that I would have to download is way more than your pagination would make effective. So maybe an async export thing that I can start a generation and then I can pull or get a webhook for, hey, the report's ready, here's the link to download it. And like get a CSV file back or a JSON file back.
Got it. There, I think, yeah, I can take this to the payments team, and we'll see if we can, work something out.
I'll probably need that same capability for things like messages or like conversations in general,
Okay.
right?
Got
And that's so that we can build custom dashboards on a RAM for reporting purposes and for sending it to other like analytics platforms.
Got it. Got it. Let me note that down.
Yep, created a thread for it in Slack.
Thanks, Karan. Next one I think is Jacob. Yeah, I think Jacob, this one, yeah, we'll definitely, I'll loop you in as well. I think the team is already working on this. I think the last time we spoke about it with Quentin as well. The only challenge there was we can let you know only when it's manually sent out from the UI there. That's the only piece. But if somebody is actually sending it out from inside workflows or from, templates and bike actions there, that would still count as a bot, even if it's a human who's actually performing that action, right? So I think that was the piece that, we're figuring that out. But yeah, I think it should, we're really close there, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah, and just having it in the actual webhook event data for the real-time feed, that's the critical component for us to be able to try to trigger it off and on. So tying all those together, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. Quentin, first one makes sense. Oh, this is by Abhinav. Cool. Next one I think is by submitted ticket Donald about the app marketplace installs getting blocked by the pop-up blocker in Chrome. Since GHL has moved the app marketplace listing to an internal system, has that been fixed? When will that go live? Okay. Donald, this is via the marketplace, right? Marketplace.gohighlevel.com. When you're installing it via that is what you're talking about. Do we have Donald with us?
I meant on the app marketplace, like in a sub account in GHL, for example.
Okay, got it. Do you have the ticket number that I can reference to?
Yeah, I can put that in chat.
Got it. I think that will be perfect. If that is the case, then we will definitely, run this down.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca has a payment related question. Yeah, Rebecca, would you like to go off mute and explain? Ask your
Certainly. Hi there. I have a couple of reports for you guys on payments with the app. It may have already came up, but I have not read through the notes of the releases lately. So thank you for your patience. The app invoice section, when one of my clients had an invoice created and he was on site to collect payment from a client, okay, he went in the app, it would not process on the invoice. So he just hit the generic, like, to run money through. He said he still attached the client's name. And when it came through his system, it came as a question mark, could not attach it to the client. And he went ahead and closed out the other one manually, but now he's got basically two invoices coming in for the same project. And he's got to delete one of those, and he can't delete the one that the money actually came in on. So he's asking me, what's the best way to handle it? So that's the first one. If you guys would prefer me to send this in like a queue or a support ticket so you can see the screenshots as to what we're dancing with there, I can gladly do that. And then the only other thing that he came back with me was,
Rebecca, I think you went on mute.
here we go. I had a call. He had some clients asking if he could, it was actually him calling, provide a tip on top of the invoice, that he's having to collect a tip in a different way. So that's just what's on my plate right now with payments.
This is primarily with the product via the UI itself, right? This is not using the API, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. It's just the regular invoicing and then attached to lead connector. That is correct. He also let me know that over this past week, he was trying to use the lead connector app, and a couple of times he would get in there and the calendar would disappear, the contacts would disappear. And I'm like, yeah, I think my team is aware of that and they're working out the kinks. Thanks for the patience. So.
Okay.
There you
Got
go.
it.
Awesome.
So I think, yeah, if you already have a ticket, then if you can just drop that in the chat, I will grab it and, make sure it
Okay.
gets the right set of eyes. If not, then I would suggest you create two separate ones. One would be your mobile issue that you mentioned about the lead connector app, and the other would be your payments with the screenshots that you just talked about.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Jacob, I think Karan has already gotten that. Do you want to discuss that?
What's funny is I just got off a quick meeting with Sharad's team, and so they are doing a lot to fix the custom conversation providers right now, because there was a lot of features that were lacking, like internal SMS was not working. You can't really use miscalled text back as well, and some of these other kind of core features. I don't know if other people were experiencing other things that were not working. So he says like sometime next week they're supposed to be rolling some of those out. But then this was more about if you're swapping voice providers out, then, how do you also tie into some of those core features like miscalled text back, in the future? And then how can you trigger those things? So obviously we're not ready for the swapping of the SIP provider yet, but I'm just curious if you guys are road mapping those things.
What is you want your own custom provider? Like you don't like Twilio and you want to bring some other one in? Is that what the use case is?
Sure. So let's just use Telnex as an example, as another SIP provider with significantly cheaper pricing than Twilio. If I swap the voice provider in, then I also need access to those other core features to be able to do the missed call text back. So just sort of like a parity between what the custom providers can do.
So when you talk about the voice, I think the way we discussed this right now with Quentin, that one should work, right? If you are handling the call on your side, let's say using the custom JS, you add a button, and that button opens up a dialer that you integrate again via custom JS, and you handle the call. And after the call completes, you hit our API to add a message in with the recording. And at that point,
Sure.
you already, or if the call did not complete, let's say it was cancelled or it was not picked up, like there are 3-4 states, you can create messages on our site for each one of those. Like we'll allow you to create an outbound message after the call has happened. And at that point, you already know that, and you'll also get it back in the webhook because it is a new message that got created on our system.
And we should make sure our internal things trigger as well. For instance, they hit an API to add a call record and the call status is missed. If there's workflows in the account, if they have missed call text back set up for the account, whatever it is, we should just fire those automatically.
That's the ones I'm talking about. Exactly. Where instead of
fire
like adding them
automatically.
to a workflow to do the missed call text
So
back
basically,
feature, which we can
based off the call record being inserted, all of this stuff already happens in our system. We just need to make sure that if the call record is inserted via the API, the same behavior continues. That's it.
Same behavior is there. Yeah.
That way we
The
can
call
use
record
those
one,
user
we're rolling it out.
interfaces and other things.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The call record one, we're rolling it out. I think, as I mentioned, either you or I think Scott, someone was asking for, again, the same features. We'll just make sure, we have a missed call text back as well to give into the team while we do that.
And instead of thinking of it as missed call text back, just make sure that all of the same stuff fires. So basically, when we insert the call record, same event goes to all services, and irrespective of whether it's an internal or external call.
But today, a lot of that code will be written, I think, at different. So it's not all based on the event system. So we'll have to just re-architect it
Just check in with the
slightly.
team because there's only two places over here, Karan. It's just the missed call text back, which that team can run down, and the workflows. It won't be anything else.
Yeah. And the reason that's important, Karan, is that if people are setting those places in the user interface for miscalled text back, we don't want to have to tell them to go update this in some workflow because I'm using some sort of bubble floating in the UI. Like I would want to be able to use that settings area of the business profile to set the miscalled text back and then just send an event to trigger the miscalled text back in your system.
Got it. So the existing settings that are already there, they apply, and based on that, that action is taken. That makes a lot of sense.
And even that miscalled text back, if you have a custom provider, for instance, should go back as a webhook instead of us actually sending the message.
Yeah, it'll go back as the SMS
No,
that
as
is
long
there
as
for
they're using
default.
the right API for that, which again internally you just need to make sure that they're not.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So I think then we can move forward. The next one by Tanner. Yeah, I think Tanner, there you can post this on ideas board as well. Today we don't have that, right? Of a daily report as far as I can remember. So ideas board will be the right place for this.
Sorry, say that again.
The ideas board link that I dropped in the chat, right? You can raise
Okay.
this, add it, and then it'll be a feature request that we can prioritize based on the traction.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm following. Cool.
Thanks.
Because it probably wouldn't be a super robust report. It's just going to kind of be by stage change. So it shouldn't take super long, you think? What do you think?
Not sure on that one. Karan, do we have this somewhere on the roadmap to improve the reporting for
I mean, that is an item that we have, but we're not picking that up right away. But if you want, I think one workaround that I can suggest is you have webhooks given out for all of those items, right? If you create a marketplace app for it and then you install it, you'll get the updates on your side. So you can technically do the reporting by, so those APIs are available whenever the opportunity pipeline changes. The state changes, you get a webhook on from our side, and then you can store it in the database and on your side, and then create a report as of today.
So you'd recommend create a report into Google Sheets, mapping it with the webhooks?
Yeah, Google Sheets or like whichever tool you want to use. Like if you want to use a traditional database, then that's possible. Otherwise, Google Sheets also works. The Google Sheets one, I think you can do directly from our workflows.
Yeah, we did
itself,
this.
that
We
Google
we
Sheets
have a
action is there.
platform that does this. The issue with doing it on Google Sheets is you're not going to be able to figure out what happened over a specific time frame. Like you can't just do it on a Google Sheet. You have to run analysis across a time frame to figure out what events happened in that specific time frame between stages. But send me a message. You send me a message on Facebook. We do this, but that's what we do. We listen to the webhook events, we store it in our own database, and then we run
So
Python
is
code
this, are
across
we talking
it.
about time series for opportunities to build dashboard cards?
Yep.
Yeah, that is on the, I think, yeah, for today that doesn't exist, so you should connect with Ryan. But that is on the roadmap for the custom dashboards team. Today, the opportunity data is based off, the date created up or the date updated, but they're coming out with the time series version next quarter.
You said that's in the roadmap?
Yep, it is.
Awesome. Sweet. And do you guys have like a month or like a quarter time frame on that by any chance?
I'll have to check in with that product manager, but feel free to shoot me an email and I can bring the right people in to help get that answer. I'll just throw that
You're
in
the
the
man,
chat.
Varun. Yeah, throw that in the chat. I appreciate you, Varun. You're the man. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. The next one I think we have is by Eric. Eric, do we have a ticket here that you've already created with the support? Because without the trace or the exact issue, right, we will not be able to help you much here, I guess. Because the array format that you're talking about could be in a lot of different fields, right? So which one are we specifically
Yeah.
talking about? If you have
Yeah, I don't have one. I don't have a ticket Brandon was working on. Evidently, he was talking to somebody in development there, like having conversations. So I'm not exactly sure what the result was. I actually got it to work with a webhook, but it's very ugly because the webhook doesn't know what it's going to be getting for fields at any time. So like if a new field shows up, you've got to go back in, retrain the webhook, all that kind of stuff, instead of just
And
having
this
it.
is for the contact, create update webhook.
I was able to update a contact with the webhook, yeah, with the array, but it is not pretty. So,
So which webhook event is this? I mean, I'd like to know. a little.
gosh, let me go.
We have a contact create and a contact update webhook.
Yeah, well, I was trying to use upsert for the most part, right? So whether it exists or not doesn't matter. So if it doesn't exist, it'll create it. If it exists, it'll update it.
Got it. That's a upsert endpoint, API endpoint that will return the information to you as well.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
a webhook really. So
No,
they're
so I think I know what Eric is talking about.
Okay.
So what he's talking about, I think, is in the workflow builder because he did
It's in
mention.
workflow, correct.
Oh,
Yeah. So basically, what they're doing is they have an inbound webhook on
got
the
it.
workflow,
Yep.
and the data comes into the inbound webhook. They're creating a contact from the data on the webhook. The problem is the inbound webhook data has an array with some values, and that is not mappable to a field inside the workflow action.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, you can do it, but it says sometimes fields change and then it's a problem. Like they all don't show up. And it's not an API, like it's a webhook. I would rather have it a solid, API connection where I can create a contact, build an app out of it, right? Than just
Yep.
have a web that's one-off.
Yep.
And this one does seem straightforward. So even when I heard about this issue recently, I was surprised. So maybe just make a note of it, throw a message in the workflow channel, and we'll run that down with that team.
Okay. So yeah, but the issue is evidently, the API didn't like the array format that was coming in from, now this is data coming from Apollo, but other vendors could give you arrays as well, and it didn't like the array.
No, and I get what you're asking for over here, Eric. And that was the whole point of the inbound webhook on the workflow, right? Is
I
for you
see.
to be able to get data from multiple different platforms and be able to transform that for use inside
Correct,
HighLevel.
but
So
that
it
doesn't make
definitely
an
is.
app.
Yeah,
But if
exactly.
the goal is to make an app that you can sell to people, you can't do that with web.
Exactly. We'll find a
Right.
solution for it. Like
Okay,
I forgot
no
what
worries.
the hold up there was, but we'll find a
Yeah, no
solution.
worries. I mean, it's just, I can't believe like 50,000 people aren't screaming to be able to get contacts into HighLevel from other applications. I just don't know how they're not, just driving them nuts. So, but anyway.
So
That's
I think
all I got.
the other piece is you also have the APIs. So I think you can always leverage the marketplace.
Now, with the API, I think the difference is the API still requires you to host and run code somewhere.
Hmm?
The nice thing about it being inside the workflow is it removes that necessity, and that's the vision here. So we'll run that down. We'll close it.
Yeah, the webhook's fine for one-off, but if I wanted to sell, the app to 1,000 users, I need the API. So, okay.
The API is there.
The API
No,
exists.
but it doesn't work.
You just have to run a server.
It works.
No, I get that. It doesn't work
Use it
though.
every
It
day.
doesn't like the format, the array format that the data is coming in as.
Oh yeah, you got some data manipulation, sure.
I've got manipulations that I'd have to do something. I'd have to have an intermediary step to divide the array out into data that HighLevel can handle, which is fine, but you shouldn't have to. Like an array is a common thing.
Well, I think you're working on that, aren't you? Aren't you guys of making this more like a Zapier make platform where you don't have to use the intermediate server to?
Yeah, no, that's
remake
exactly right.
the data?
And I mean, what Eric is asking for, we'll fix in short order. I don't know where
No,
that's in the pipeline, but I'll run that down.
I know it's in the pipeline and I'm just making sure that it's still there.
Same thing with the RPC, the options, they got to come in a certain way. You can't really stipulate, hey, this is the ID, this is the name, just work with it. It's all in between server to make everything happen instead of being a, more of a Zapier make type platform. I think that's what he's getting at. I noticed we weren't able to save IDs from a drop down and put that into the post URL, which I think you guys were working on too. Like a drop down to save that ID value and then use that in the request and the post request inside the marketplace app. There's no way to save that either and reuse it.
Makes sense.
We'll definitely run that down. Varun and Eric, yes.
You understand what I'm saying, right?
I was in it.
Oh, sorry.
You guys understand what I just said, right?
Yep, I've got it. I'm just shooting all of those off as messages to the
Yeah.
right
I was
teams.
just making
but
sure you understand what I said. Basically, a drop down, when you have a drop down in the app, if somebody selects a value there and we need that value to make the final post request and use that in the URL like /ID, whatever that they used in the drop down, there's no way to save that drop down selection and then use that in the post request in the URL parameter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. I think the next one, there we have by Ken Ford. Are we planning? Sorry. Are we planning to add custom fields to the user object in a similar fashion to what we did for opportunities? So the use case there is independent agents with an agency. You need the ability to track certain things like certifications, licenses, bio pages, and other data that is specific to the user. These users are dialing and making calls for the agency. Got it. This is an interesting use case.
Yep. So I think it's not there on the roadmap as of today, but we can take this back to the team and get it added.
Yeah.
And this would be a slightly large item, so the ideas list is also useful to help the team prioritize.
And I just dropped the link for the ideas board. So if you can just add that in there, it'll help us prioritize.
It's already in there. I edited it already.
Oh, got it.
Perfect.
The next one I think is then by Ryan. How far are we out with marketplace widgets for funnel? Okay, funnel widgets and websites. So Ryan, yeah, I think there we've ironed out, a lot of details. I think one item that we still were running down was on updates for these snapshots, right? And how those propagate across applications once you put it on marketplace. So I think once that piece is, cleared out, I think we'll be really close to launch. So I'm inclined to say Q2 is the timeline that we have for funnel widgets.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good
Perfect.
to know. I had that question too. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sushil, how to implement partial payments in the documents and contract section?
Yeah, actually, some of my customers are requesting that when they send a proposal from the Go HighLevel to their customer, they want to charge an X% of the total amount of their quotations. Like it's $100, then they can charge 10% during the process of accepting signing the document. And this special feature, some of our other competitors, they are only selling this this feature where you can just save your customer card and charge them 10%, and after you complete the work, then you can charge the other 90%. Like we have the option to split the invoice, but customer want to have this feature when their customer accept the proposal, basically.
Got it. I think for this one, ideas list would be the best one.
Okay, so I will add this in idea list also.
And also this exists in some manner today, Social, because on the contact detail page, you are able to charge a customer and you are able to collect a card. I think in multiple places, there's an appointment page. There's a
like there is a multiple option through which I can collect the card, but especially on the when you send a quotation to your customer,
Yeah,
and you
it's
want to
while you
ensure.
send that. Yeah,
you
proposal,
want to
and
ensure
while that
yes.
proposal is getting accepted.
Yeah, and that is already on the roadmap for the proposals and estimates team or the documents and contracts team. So you should jump on that town hall to talk with that team directly. There will be, if you look at the HighLevel events calendar, and I'll throw a link for that in the chat, there will be
Yeah,
an
please.
product town hall for documents and contracts. I know this is already on their list, but if you jump on, you'll be able to take a look at
Can you please
that item.
send the
Yeah,
link?
I'll throw the link to the events calendar in the chat.
Sure. And one more thing is the API we have for the contact, like get a duplicate contact. It just throw only one contact detail if we are searching a duplicate contact. Like for an example, for the same email and phone number, if I have 10 different contacts and I'm going to search a duplicate contact, it's just give me an output for one contact, not the other 9.
Yeah. And what is the use case over there?
A use case like me personally integrating Go HighLevel with some job management softwares where I need to create a duplicate contact for like one customer have 10 different jobs. So we create 10 different contacts in Go HighLevel. And when we are sending any communication, we are trying to find the right contact ID. In the API version 1, this feature is available, but after the API version 2 update, I'm unable to find all contacts through the duplicate API. Even if I'm going with the search a contact, I have only option to add either a phone number or an email address. Like I can't search the customer with the email and phone, both parameters. Even if
So I think because
Mhm.
yeah, the way this works on our side is you set a precedence on the first duplicate finding we'll do, let's say on email. That's a location-based setting, and that's a location level setting. So the first one you do it on email, and then the second one you do it on phone. And if we find a match on the email, then we don't consider the phone. If we see that there is already a contact, then we return that one. But I'm creating a thread on Slack to have a deeper discussion on this with the team.
Yeah, like the same feature we have on the API version 1, exact same feature I want in the API version 2.
This change we made after that, when we moved to V2 and going forward, we made it like this was matching both the things were creating a bit of problems on our side, where the problems were, let's say, if you submitted a form, then at certain times it updated the same contact, and at certain times it created a new contact, and there was a discrepancy in how that was dealt with, and it was different for different products within the ecosystem. So then that's why we had to give a setting at the location level where you're easily able to define what are, like, you want to deduplicate first based on email and then based on phone.
Yeah, I got it. But because of the change of API version 1 to 2, like you guys just announced that it is going to expire on 1st of March. So I was completely disturbed that if it's going to expire after 1st March, then
We changed that timeline to
we
June
changed the
1st.
time, but it's better if we can get the similar
Makes sense.
type of search in API version 2.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.
Oh, great. So I think the next one is by Sergio. Do we have any update on the progress for login with GHL Auth Federation feature we discussed in the last call? Use cases having GHL as a supported auth provider in our own login sign up flow. I think there, Sergio, we really haven't, gone into the depths of this today. We are working, on a global SSO level item, right, for our internal login inside GHL itself, right? So maybe once we are done with that, I think this will be a really good item that we can prioritize. Login with GHL. Let me get this added in. So GHL will be an auth provider. got it. The next one I think was answered already. You would like an update, and I think Aditya answered that for you, Sergio. So we're good there. The plan for bulk export, I think this one we answered. And Hartigan, this one I think was answered by Scott as well. Good to go, good to go. In-app purchases in the radar, did anyone else ask that already? Donald, when you say in-app purchases, you mean after the app has been installed and then providing them with extra, items that they can be built into GHL itself? Or are you going to take this, via take them through your platform and then build them for any additional?
It's primarily the usage-based pricing. I think Aditya got to that.
Well, the like use case here is we sell facts, and so the facts sheets are like a penny per sheet or something like that.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's got it.
Yeah, so we have that on the roadmap where you could hit an API and tell us what the pricing is, and then you could continue to do that up to a certain cap. That is on the roadmap for this Q2.
Great. All right. Thanks.
The next one by Scott. Yeah, that one was taken up. Donald, I think I saw custom JS in workflows is coming up. Couldn't that be used? What was this for, Donald? I think we don't have Donald with us.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
This one, I think, was for the other discussion that was going on
the-
regarding workflows,
Oh, yeah.
arrays. Yeah, so I think that is good.
Got
Yeah,
it.
that's good. Thank you.
Replacing Zap, ability to redirect a user to sign up to their white label domain instead of the root URL. Right.
We have this on the roadmap. I think this is this already been picked up.
Right.
So by next month, this should be out.
Yep. You guys would have a Zap importer that would save us thousands. That's for workflows.
What do you mean by a Zap importer?
This, I think, mostly.
Oh, I mean that kind of like you guys have the Kajabi importer. I've always asked for this. I was like, because
Okay.
Zapier's way too expensive. I've always said, does anyone have a Zap importer? Like I put it on any other platform other than Zapier because it's so expensive. If you guys created a Zapier importer, that would change the game, save a lot of us a lot of money.
Makes sense. But I mean, as of today, we don't have all the actions that Zapier has, right? So
A visionary solution, you need to replace Zapier, and then you'd have to build an importer, which is probably very difficult. So it was just a pie in the sky thing. But if it was built, it
importer,
would.
I think. Yeah, importer would be straightforward. Importer won't be the hard piece. The hard piece, I think, would be doing the OAuth for all of those different. And that's where I think, I mean, our answer to that would be again marketplace, where you have workflows. I mean, people build the workflow actions and triggers themselves, and that is how basically we get parity over there, and we don't have to build every single channel ourselves.
Well, let's talk about that for a bit. I've had 3 people come to me say they want help building apps. But the way that we have to do it right now, it would take a long time. I've been wanting to build an app generator that integrates into into marketplaces and provide some developer tools so that people can build their own apps from templates and building blocks. I've mentioned this a couple times before. A super need a blocking item for that type of integration is authentication federation into marketplace. You mentioned you're bringing the ability to watch secondary users, so that might be a way. If I create a developer account that is like a service provider, integrations partner, developers account, then that developer account can be added to people's marketplaces or granted access to apps. Ideally, it would also support building an app entirely via API, and then assigning that app to the person that's trying to build the integration.
That should be possible. I think once the multiple users is there, the APIs we can send you I think we already sent you a documentation for it. And so once you have access, then you can get added into all of their accounts, and then you'll be able to exactly do this.
But authentication into marketplace today still relies on the HighLevel. So
Yeah, so you can just like log in once and then get that token and then continue to use it.
Like from my account, but what I'm trying to do is npm or yarn create GHL app, where the developer would run it, not I run it, right? And then I use code generation and some questions in the CLI or on a web UI to collect choices and generate code based on that.
Yeah, that
so
is
it
there on
needs
the
to be
roadmap.
unattended. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole, I think that SDK is there on the roadmap. In general, we want to exactly
who do
take
I
that
talk to
approach.
about that? Who do I talk to about that?
Same people. I think we can jump on a call in time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Search goes on to something. I think like a full SDK would be amazing. It would really speed the development game. Just being able to use like, HL dot create contact and then be able to put in just a few parameters and create a contact rather than having to make API requests, just having an SDK built out to make that a lot simpler.
Yeah. I think that definitely makes a lot of sense and it's there on the roadmap.
By the way, I don't know if this was intentional, but I saw you guys release or publish a repo called GHLv2 API docs. And it has all the documentation from Stoplight. You have a pull request fixing a couple things by yours truly, but I have not seen any feedback on it.
So you're there, right? Yeah, you got us there. The idea is we want to push this out for everybody as well. We're just adding, README and some, ground rules there, so that once we start getting those requests, it's easier to route them across and make sure that those requests are actually fulfilled, right? Rather than just have those docs stay there. We want to make sure it's, fixing the current docs, or it's something that, you're expecting differently, right? So we're just adding house rules to that, and then I think we should be good.
Okay, cool. This pull request is just typos. Like this specific one is just typos. So nothing too crazy there, but I do understand. You need a contributor agreement. Yeah, just wanted to understand, is this repo where it's at? And are we gonna be using this repo for issues and stuff like that, for issue tracking?
Yes.
Yes,
Awesome.
this is the one.
Okay.
So I think that was the last questions that we had. The rest of them have already been taken care of. I think we are right on time as well.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining in. Have a happy Friday.
Thank you.